Alright guys, I'm here back with more NieR Automata. Continuing on, I am watching Anthony Caliber's stream right now. He's still on pace for a record. I just got home from work. I was actually thinking about streaming myself, but I kind of just, you know, I decided not to. I did end up streaming yesterday, even though I said I was going to. Thought about streaming today to make up for it, but like at the end of the day, it's like I'm probably going to stream tomorrow and the day after anyway, so I don't want to do 3 days in a row. I feel like that's a bit much, because it really fucks my sleep schedule. So I decided to take today kind of lax. To be honest, the entire day I took lax. I did not stream earlier today. Mainly because I ended up being pretty busy with some stuff, and then I had Australian Survivor to watch, so by the time all that was done, I didn't really have that much time. So I actually just took sleeping medicine, because I feel like I'm just going to kind of use this day as like a refresher sort of day. Tomorrow I have off. I'll probably play some NieR in the morning. Maybe. Actually, I don't know. We might. We probably will. But, I'm actually going... I have the, oh, well, let's just start playing. I do have to go to a thing, like a family get-together tomorrow. So that's gonna waste some time. Probably a couple hours in my day. It's at night, so... Yeah, I mean, that's not gonna be great. In terms of me wanting to get stuff done tomorrow. I will probably stream tomorrow night. I mean, I'll be very surprised if I don't. And yeah, I'm gonna try to get some of my Revelations retrospective done, and I want to try to see if I can get that done by Thursday. I feel like that'll be my ideal goal there. Friday I'm going to be busy for part of the night as well, because I do have, again, another family-related thing going on there. I mean, that's kind of different. Like, tomorrow is, like, a family, like, I don't know what you would really call it. I guess, like, farewell dinner? Whatever. Whatever. Someone's going, well, it's too fucking, like, I don't even know how to fucking even describe it. Whatever, that's tomorrow, and then, on Friday I just have to I have to help drive my mom to the airport, which will waste some time. So yeah, so those things, it's wasting a decent amount of time over the course of the next few days. And like, to be fair, I mean, it's like not that much time. The problem is that's like during times I would typically be working on stuff for my YouTube channel, so like, that's kind of the annoying bit of it, but whatever. Yeah, and we'll see. I'm trying to think, like the problem, like right now with the batch of videos I'm currently working on, is that all these videos are super fucking long. Like, it's like they're all like ridiculously long. I know I'm gonna do this, by the way.
What do you think?
He just started transmitting to us directly.
Now do you believe we're not his friends?
Your mouth can say anything it wants, but you still don't have a heart.
I suppose that's technically accurate. Yes, well, you're free to visit our village whenever you like.
That almost missed.
Wait, where are we? Okay, right here. Don't want to buy anything here? No.
Run's dead.
Okay. Oh, that's that.
Run's dead. I can't save it either. Son of a bitch, man. Damn it. I waited too long to fire the rifle. Son of a bitch.
I think we're good.
Losing runs in coal mine now.
Yeah, I did think about streaming tonight. And to be honest, I was actually like right about to like bite the bullet and do it.
It didn't feel like I waited too long. I mean, that square prompt has to be timed really well.
Shit, I don't have enough money for that. Pod A, what does that do?
What's happening? Like, that was an easy record.
Whole lot of money.
Should have been an easy record.
It's not even worth it, really. Yeah. I don't... Wait. Wait. What was that? That was like for 5,000. Oh, shockwaves. Ooh, that's a lot, actually.
That's not the first time that's happened.
Should we sell those?
There's always a chance of that happening. When that runner hops into that window, sometimes
That's worth a lot of money.
warning, just go into a grabbing animation.
We're never gonna use
Because
these,
the runners
right?
don't go into their stance to grab you like they do with Joel. If you're close enough to it, it can just.
You know, I don't think it's worth it right now. Like we're not in any, like we're not under leveled or anything, but still. Okay. Well, now that he's lost the run, I'm gonna go off his stream and let's go back to watching Big Brother, which actually surprisingly made money this week. I'm surprised Kylan went up. I was expecting Kylan to go down actually.
Ultimately, is Hannah?
Well, Kylan stayed the same. And I decided to go all in on Hannah, which is a bit risky. There's some risk there, but the real risk is that Sarah Beth wins HOH. If Sarah Beth wins HOH, I'm fucked. But if Sarah Beth doesn't win HOH, then I'm set.
Sarah Beth will realize
So,
that this is where her whole game
it's really just banking on Sarah Beth not winning HOH.
And we haven't even touched on the fact that aside from all of this, the pushing, the zeroing in on like a specific target, it's been more and more evident to a lot of people this week that her and Kylan are pretty much attached as a pair. Like, this is very much, like, they've made it so clear now, whereas before it might have been a little bit ambiguous. There's no more ambiguity anymore. People know.
Yes, and that has been one of the storylines of the week as well. Tiffany at the tail end of last week was looking at Kylan as her final two. Then she saw how close he was with Sarah Beth. That upset her. She decided to come up with a new plan that allowed her to get rid of Sarah Beth sooner. She has now accelerated even that. And since then, Kylan has slowed down his game talk, as she advised him to do. But
let's go through
I think that what she was mostly hoping for, probably, is that he would slow his game talk with Sarah Beth specifically, and instead what he's done is slow his game talk with everyone but Sarah Beth, it seems. He is still with her a lot, and they are somewhat affectionate toward one another, and that has only made it worse for them in terms of being linked together. And so not only has Sarah Beth's game gone straight, down the or up the target list, I should say, Kylan's game has been unraveling a bit as well, because everyone sees how close he is to Sarah Beth, and nobody feels like they are close enough to him because he's too close to her, and so. Things are not playing out well for Sarah Beth or Kylan this week so far, as all of this goes down. So we also have Claire, who won the wildcard competition and got safety until jury, which we can assume means safety for this week and next week. Now the veto ceremony has happened. Whitney and Hannah stay on the block after Christian wins another competition. He wins this veto. So she doesn't need the safety this week anymore, but she should have safety going into next week. She should be. She will be one of the jury members this season. But where does it end? Where does it go from there? Because Tiffany has been talking about Claire as somebody that she is wanting to drop somewhat soon. And that Claire is too smart. She will figure things out, and she feels so guilty about the whole situation that for her own sanity, she needs Claire just gone. And can Claire figure that out in time and, you know, adjust properly will be another big question, I think, in the coming weeks here.
I think that's such a mistake. I just think that I don't see why that makes any sense, and I get it's like guilt or whatever, but like it does not make any sense to get rid of Claire as soon as possible. I mean, it makes me not
I went the long way around,
happy,
but
to be
whatever.
honest. I think that that's a bad move. It's just
Oh shit.
I don't know. I just
Oh my
I
God,
want
that was so
Tiffany and Claire
close.
to work together. I want them to go to the end, and you know, I think that it's a mistake to. I think Tiffany. What worries me about Tiffany is I do feel like she, as much as she likes to say to the cameras, like, "Oh, I'm like sorry if you don't like my game. I'm doing this to win. Like I'm playing to win, whatever." I don't believe that she's actually doing that. I do feel like she plays to optics sometimes, and I think that I see why.
What the fuck?
You
Okay,
know,
there we
the
go.
members of the
Fuck is
cookout
that?
feel a certain way, but it does make me feel like for Tiffany's sake, I think that she should not be just relying on the cookout. I think that they recognize Tiffany as a big threat, and I would be worried for her if it got down to those guys as the final six, because I do think that they might take Tiffany out, and I think she needs to have some sort of backup
Yeah,
in
that's where we
place,
get the
like
battle,
like,
right?
hey, I have Claire here, I have Derek X here, I have all these people here who want to keep me in, and I don't think that she should just be willing to take sixth place, you know, just because of the larger message. And I mean, maybe I just don't understand it, and I totally am willing to accept that, you know. But I do feel like for her own personal game, like I think that keeping Claire longer makes more sense. And her whole, you know, argument of trying to say like, oh, let's get Claire out right after jury starts or whatever is like, don't do that. No, I don't know.
Yeah, so for me, it's very interesting because I kind of, in an attempt to understand where Tiffany's coming from, right?
Command is
Tiffany's like,
deploying
well,
new
if Claire
flight
goes
units
in
for us.
first,
They
she
just
can
set
set
the
the tone for
coordinates,
the
so
jury.
let's get
That's
going.
someone who's got
I don't
my
think
back.
it's from
That's
black and
good.
white.
Yeah, that's good for her, and also she can keep her cookout plans that she has intact. But it's weird to me because to me, it's like Tiffany has arguably done the best so far, right? Actually, not arguably. You can't argue that. It's facts. But it's like Tiffany has all the cons. She has a PS5, an Xbox Series X. She has all of them. But then she's like, I'm just gonna keep the GameCube. It's like, well, that's great, but you can also keep all your other consoles. You don't have to sell them off. Like you don't need. You can keep all of them. I don't understand why you don't want to keep all of them.
Right.
Because she discussed some stuff today, which I'm sure we'll touch on. But her like hit list of who she would want gone, and within the first 3 weeks of jury, she wants to lose 2 of her closest non-cookout allies. And I
That's
just
the
don't
thing.
understand that.
Yeah, she doesn't have to be like, okay, we're getting the cookout out right now, like, let's do it. It's like, we don't need that. She can keep them all. Like, there are other people left in the house that can go before literally any of her allies. Like,
Wait, what?
I mean, yeah, sure, there are people that she's working with or has, like, tangential relationships with, but it's like, they're not your strongest allies. Like, keep your strongest allies in. Keep the cookout, that's totally fine. But I do think that it would be a mistake to get out Claire or Derek X or any of those people who you're working with that
The
aren't
flight
in the
units should
cookout.
be on
Like,
the
it's
roof of
just,
that building up ahead. It'll be
I don't get
dangerous,
it.
but we're not going anywhere unless we
Yeah,
pass
it's
through that Goliath's
interesting.
legs.
You
We
know,
should be careful.
part of me wonders if she will follow through with this hit list. You know, I think she means it right now, but I think it's one thing to talk about, well, I'll lose Claire in a couple of weeks, and another thing to actively do to Claire what she's been doing to Sarah Beth and to Whitney and to Brent, who those are people that she didn't particularly care for. And Tiffany, for better or worse, does appear to be the kind of player who likes to not care for the person that she's targeting. Not nearly to any extreme, you know, that it feels like overly wrong or anything, but she definitely likes to feel her strategy at the same time that she's doing the strategy. And I don't know that she'll be able to bring herself to actively campaign against Claire in the way that she's, again, put the target on some of these other people. And if she's not doing that, then I don't know that the target will fall on Claire in that same way. Now, it certainly could, but it doesn't mean that, like, again, Tiffany's kind of been dictating the target list from this point, or from as soon as Frenchie left.
Oh, same ones before?
But if she's not overly directing it, it means that it might not actually happen, and she may also just flat out change her mind and be like, well, do I really need to lose Claire yet? Maybe I'm a little concerned about Brittany. Maybe I'm a little concerned about, like, is Alyssa still in the game? Like, what's happening? So, you know, we'll see where that all goes. I do think, however, there is at least one point here that she is at least somewhat correct about, which is that Claire is dangerous in this game. And I do think Claire can figure things out, and I do think that if you let Claire survive for too long, she could be a big threat to win and potentially mess up everything that Tiffany has going on. So I actually don't hate the move too much for her to turn on Claire, but because she does have so many options. But I do think she needs to set herself up in a stronger position before she makes that. And I don't think she's in that position yet. I think Claire is an essential part of her structure right now, especially because she's not maintaining the Kylan connection very well at the moment. She definitely, if she's gonna lose Claire, she definitely needs to retain Kylan, and so far that's not been happening either. Their relationship has deteriorated to the point where just today they were kind of talking about it. She was upset that he didn't respond to, like, her good morning. And he was like, what's going on here? And he was trying to talk about it, like, I don't feel like this is resolved. And she was like, I feel like it's resolved. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Which is absolutely what you say when it's resolved, of course. And I, you know, I can only imagine that Kylan is going to realize that he needs to start getting to work again, especially once Sarah Beth becomes the target next week. And if Kylan turns back on and is not Team Tiffany, she's definitely gonna need Claire still in the game to help combat that. So, again, some very interesting stuff going on here. All right, so we've got all of that going on, and heading into next week, we have an endurance competition. We have a few different people looking to target different people. Christian and Alyssa. Alyssa's the only one competing. Of the two of them, are looking to target Azza, and we don't necessarily know who they would put on the block next to Azza. They can't put Claire on the block. They are unlikely to put anybody from the Royal Flush on the block. It would likely be another Joker. The big question, of course, is would they put Big D up next to Azza, or would they put Brittany up next to Azza? If they're not sending Brittany home, they probably wouldn't want to put Brittany up next to Azza, so it might be Big D. And that would obviously pose a problem to the cookout. They're, of course, probably going to be trying to work Kristen and Alyssa as much as possible to make that not happen. They would probably try to shift their target from Azza to Brittany as much as possible. And to be honest, they'll probably get their way because they got their way this week, and they're pretty good at what they do. Sarah Beth is looking to target Hannah still, and she may be talked out of it by Kylan, but and these are people who very well could win an endurance competition. Alyssa, Sarah Beth, you know, they are both people that could cause some big problems for the cookout at this time. Azza is looking at Azza had a conversation with Tiffany today where they were talking about going to the end, and Tiffany was like, we got to get to the 6, and she was like, I thought it was the 5 plus Hannah. Like, what do you mean? Like, what does that mean? It's the same thing. That's 6 people.
Yeah, Azza's fascination with, yeah, okay, well, she's kind of in, but I'm just not going to give her all my game. I'm just not going to divulge all my information to Hannah. At this point, Azza, this is, like, 5 people working with you is better than 4 people working with you, right? So embrace the 5. What's wrong with the other 5 people being in the group? I still don't understand. And again, it was very funny because a couple days ago, Darren, you brought up the whole, the way Azza and Tiffany talk, and the way Tiffany was kind of making the whole conversation with them was going a little bit rocky, where Tiffany was kind of saying things in a way that was bothering Azza. We got a little bit of that again today with this very same conversation. I don't understand where Asa is coming from with this. Still,
this is your commander.
Completely, I don't know what the root is here. But I love that Tiffany will ride for Chada, no matter what, and says, listen, she's with us. I don't care. Like, this is our 6th. This is what the numbers are. You got to deal. It has to be the case.
Arduous war once and
yeah,
for
it's
all.
very weird that she keeps pointing that out.
Like, it's like, to analyze the source of the signal.
I don't know, like, it makes sense if it's like a clarifying thing, like, oh, the 6, like, okay, wait, who is the 6 again? But, like, that clearly isn't what she was intending. Like, she clearly doesn't think of Hannah as part of it, and that's weird. Like, I don't know why she's still on that. Like, maybe, I mean, if she wants to then say, like, you know, well, Hannah will be the first to go once we get to that point. Like, okay, that's fine. But, like, it just is weird that she keeps pointing that out. Like, it's like, yeah, no, you don't have to keep saying that it's 5 plus Hannah. Like, that's 6 people. You don't have to clarify it any further. That's enough. Like, it's very weird.
Okay.
Yeah. So, really, you know, looking at next week, you have a bunch of people aiming their shot at Sarah Beth. You have Christian and Alyssa, who are still potential targets, mostly backup targets, but still some.
Yeah, I fucking hate this game's fucking timer runs when you're not playing it.
On the target list, and you've got a couple of options for.
Like it runs when you're like on the menu.
Out, like Ozza, Big D, or maybe
like the PS4 dashboard.
And you know, maybe Ozza. No, who would Sarah Beth? Sarah Beth.
So what's the mission right now?
I'm sure she has.
Let's get the flooded area.
And
okay.
Oh, maybe yeah. Maybe she'd do like she'd probably do Derek X or something along those lines. Sorry, Derek X, gotta use this pawn, or at least that's probably what she'd go for. Kyling would argue against her, but he doesn't have a lot of sway with Sarah Beth actually. So you know, there's a bunch of different things that could happen next week, but primarily we're looking at Sarah Beth as the target, especially since Tiffany definitely has a history of getting her way here. So
it's strange to me because I feel like Sarah Beth is smart. Like, she's a smart player, except for, like, this week
must have been a hollow down there this whole
she
time.
did not do well this week. I mean, this week is, like, her downfall. I feel like maybe she wasn't in the best position before, but I don't feel like she was next on the list. And now, all of a sudden, she's next on the list above the showmans. And, you know, that surprises me because you would think you should try and get rid of the showmans first, especially Christian, because Christian is winning everything, and he also is not eligible to compete for HOH this week. I mean, it just seems like this is a perfect time, or else you're looking at someone who could possibly win veto HOH, like just constantly to the end. He's that good. It's very unfortunate that Sarah Beth is now in this position, and I wonder, does she recognize that she's in this position now? Like, I mean, does she recognize that this is something that she has now put herself in? Or does she not? Is she not aware that she's in danger?
I don't think she's aware that she's in danger at this time. She definitely does not realize how many people are gunning for her at this point. I think this is a good example, though, of like, I think there are a lot of good players in this house. I think Sarah Beth is a good player. Kylan is a good player. Xavier is a good player. I think even Brittany has some chops in terms of, you know, how she plays the game. Maybe not quite on the same level as some of those other people, but there are a lot of like good players in this house, and a lot of them are taking the kind of like, I'm going to play a little bit, I'm going to lie low a little bit, I don't want to play too hard. And of those players, even Whitney was doing pretty well. Whitney was a player. Brent was a game player. Like, all these people who play the game. You know, Brent was pretty bad at it, but Whitney was not terrible at it. She just wasn't aggressive enough. Sarah Beth hasn't been playing hard enough. Kylan this week hasn't been playing hard enough. Brittany hasn't been playing hard enough. A lot of people not playing the game hard enough. And right now, you know, last week it was looking like Xavier might start to get into.
Let's pause that for a second. Oh, was this just the boss battle?
Trouble. Yeah. This week things have played out well for him, but I think this is again a good example of all of these good players who are looking to like ride that sweet spot of I don't want to play too hard, and what they're really doing is just allowing themselves to be
that's definitely fucking
and only one of those players at any given moment is going to be in a good spot, because the rest of them are going to be oh crap, well, I've just let myself get put into a terrible.
Perhaps we'll wipe out the androids next. Machines are weapons capable of evolution. We can grow. We can become aware. Eventually, the intelligence within our network began to surpass that of our creators. You'd probably be surprised at how quickly it happened.
Oh. You destroyed your own creators?
Oh, there's no need to fret about them. They were simple, infantile, almost like plants, I guess you'd say. They held no value to us. But the humans on the moon, now they are interesting.
Why them?
Because they are an enigma. They killed uncountable numbers of their own kind, and yet loved equal measure. It's fascinating, don't you think? What could possibly drive such behavior? We have dedicated ourselves to unraveling this riddle of humanity. And now we will allow you to assist us. You were made in their image, after all.
Assist you with what?
It's simple. We need you to locate the humans on the moon and bring them to us. We will then dissect and analyze them in order to drag their secrets forth into the light. Surely you see the attraction in this.
Are you insane?
What the fuck?
We'd never do that! Can you believe this, 2B? This guy's bonkers.
Well, I suppose this concludes negotiations. The only remaining option is to destroy you. The same way we destroyed these pathetic little aliens.
Okay.
Time grows short. This year, this is the fate that befell our creators.
As for your beloved humans, I guess we'll see, won't we?
Okay, we will knock this.
They're gone.
Alright, tomorrow when Yakuza video comes out, that's gonna bomb. Last few days have been pretty good. Since Saturday, it's been a bit of a rebound for my YouTube channel, which is nice.
We better get back to the bunker.
I don't know how long that's gonna last, but it's nice that I got a bit of a rebound there. It's been a bit since, well, I guess we might go
spot by the person who's actually playing.
It's been a bit
hard,
since the channel has done
and so
decently.
it's interesting for me to see, especially in a cast like this, where you know, the kinds of games that all of those players are playing right now would typically be more than you know, the summer camp vibe of the rest of the house. But in this house in particular, it's really like you're basically lying down right now because other people are full on sprinting. And so it's very interesting.
About time we had access to those.
And I think a lot of the
Flash
time
travel?
Transporters? They let you transfer your consciousness to a temporary body back in the bunker.
I feel like it's like they're too comfortable. And then by the time they realize, like, oh no, I'm not safe, they're already on the block. The week's been decided, they're going out the door. And I feel like that's the scary thing this week, is this season, is I feel like normally you have a little bit more time to prepare yourself, because it's like there's usually a bottom, there's usually like a top alliance, and everyone else is on the bottom, so you know, like, okay, well, here's the remainder, and I'm going to be one of those people that gets picked off, and we're all just going to get picked off one by one, so I better, like, figure out my situation, and you kind of, like, know in advance you're in trouble, whereas I feel like everybody in the house thinks,
so this has a transporter
I'm doing okay.
now, huh?
I'm in a good spot. Until all of a sudden they're not, and they're already out the door, and that's the end of it. And that's like, I mean, Whitney even. I mean, you saw how confident she was when she was like kicking Brent out the door last week, and now all of a sudden she's in that same position. And I just think that is kind of a new thing that we're seeing this season, where people don't have the opportunity to really, you know, make sure they're safe, because they already think they're safe. I don't know. It's just interesting.
Yep.
I love that this is the season being named the new era, because this is very good for what's been happening. I feel like, you know, in older seasons we've talked about how the casting's kind of done in a way very like specific. Okay, this person's here to fit this role, this person's here to fit this role. This season, I feel like we've got 8 different good type game players. I said 8, I retract that. It's less than that. Please don't think I think 8 people are really good in this house. But we have the type of player who's probably a little bit closer to the old school, who is trying to lay low at the beginning, make some connections, then at the end start winning some competitions. We've got the person who's new to the game potentially, but winning competition to try and get agency. We have the person who's working on social game every single day to get alliances going, to get stuff going, to get stuff sorted out for the end. We have so many different types of gameplay, so there's someone you can root for in every direction, and each of these types of games can be a winning game. And it's just wild to think that in this specific house, there's simply, because of how good the caliber of gameplay is, you take one of these players, you put them in another season, they might be dominating the season. Like, that's how good I think the level of gameplay is in this season. And that's why when people think the season's dull, I'm like, well, there's just layers on layers going on here that you can't even begin to comprehend. If you just sit and watch this, it is fascinating to me. Like, I think that, and I'm not going to give anything away here, but I think someone like Alyssa, someone like Christian, who I don't even think are playing, you know, best games in the house, not even top 4 or 5 for me, are still playing really good games. It's just the level of gameplay in this house is way too high, but in a good way, and I love it.
Yeah, I mean, Christian and Alyssa are one of the savviest, like, showmances, like, typical showmances that I've seen in a very long time. Alyssa is certainly, like, I mean, you compare them to, for instance, A. Jackson and Holly, who obviously go on to make the final 2. Very successful showmans there. One of the more recent successful showmances. They are better players, in my opinion. Both of them, I think, are better players. And Jackson and Holly weren't slouches, but they were probably above average. They were pretty good at different points in time. But I think Christian is a better competitor than Jackson is. Although we'll see how he does in mental competitions. But physically, I think even he's been better than Jackson. He's got more skill, I think, than Jackson does. And then Alyssa is a lot more active. Again, I talked about this the other day, but it might have been this morning. Again, who knows at this point? But you know, when Alyssa and Christian talk about, like, oh, I think we're in a good position, they don't then say we should just throw all the HOHs now. You know, like that was all that was keeping Jackson and Holly afloat for most of the game, and they were constantly wanting to throw them, and they just kept being like, we can't, we're just too competitive. So they were like, against their own will, succeeding in the game. Not nearly the case here with Alyssa and Christian, who are doing a pretty good job. Christian has undeniably a charm to him.